shot if you like, Brendan. Yeah, absolutely. Just give me a wave when you're live, mate. Yeah, here we are at Yeronga AFL with Brendan Walsh, the club president. This area, it was really hammered by the floods, and there's a big pile of destroyed material next to me. The facilities here had flood water through them, and of course the field's affected as well. This is the story of a lot of sporting clubs right across Brisbane and Logan, and there's now grants of up to $20,000 from the Palaszczuk state government to help sporting clubs recover from the impact of the floods, which obviously come from a number of different angles, whether it's facilities and equipment, fields. It all needs to be sorted out as quickly as we can. We'll be working with sporting clubs to make sure that they recover as quickly as they possibly can. And I know Brendan will want to say a few words on behalf of the club. They had a fantastic response to their working bee to help down here. It is a wonderful club with great community spirit, much loved in this community, the Devils, and I know that they will recover fully from this, but we'll be helping them every step of the way. And I thank everybody who's put in so much, not just here, but right across the south side, helping people and clubs in need. It has been a hell of a week, one might say. Look, in terms of public transport for tomorrow, I have some good news for commuters on the Shorncliffe and the Cleveland lines. We've restored them in time for first service tomorrow. So if you're one of the commuters who relies on those train lines, you're back in business. We've also been able to restore the Beenleigh station on the Beenleigh line. So you'll have services now from Varsity Lakes up until Beenleigh station. There's a number of stations then north of that that are still out of service because of the impact of flooding on the Logan area. We're looking to rectify that as quickly as possible. We'll have an express bus going from Beenleigh to Currabee for those people that need to do that long haul trip. You'll be able to do it partly by rail, then partly by express bus, reconnect to the rail service, and we'll be getting those other stations up and running as soon as we can. So that leaves that Logan section, and that leaves also that section west of Ipswich, the Rosewood line. Had huge impacts out there. Our workers are working overtime to get that one up and running as well. If you're a bus commuter tomorrow, we'll have about 90% of the normal bus routes happening, which is just a fantastic effort from all our bus operators and our staff. That's a big increase in the last couple of days. As the road network has opened up, they're able to do that, and thanks to all the staff there, because some of the staff, of course, are impacted personally themselves, some with floodwaters through their houses. So there's been a lot of work gone into those rosters to be able to make all this work. But check in with the TransLink journey planner or with your bus operator about services tomorrow. But we've got another about 10% to go after tomorrow, and we're working hard to restore that fully as well. Most of the state-controlled major roads are now reopened. Most of the local roads, I think, also from observation have reopened. We've recently been able to reopen the Ipswich Rosewood Road as well, so keep an eye out on QLD traffic for those openings. If you've still got a closed road near you, it'll just be a case of it being safe, being cleared by engineers and that sort of thing. Brendan would like to say a few words, I'm sure, on behalf of Yeronga Devils here and the impacts of the floods. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Minister Bailey. Yeah, look, obviously as a very community-focused and values-driven organisation, we greatly appreciate the effort of Minister Bailey and the government and the other local councils as well over the past 72 hours and 7 days really as to the response. Obviously we've seen that floods, they don't discriminate, young, old, rich, poor, big, small, boy, girl, which is very much like a community football club that we are, that we represent the community that we live in, we play in, we educate in and we shop in there as well. So we're here for the long game. We understand, to use the old analogy here at the moment, is that obviously football's a game of 4 quarters. The first quarter response has been extremely strong from everyone, but we know this is a very long game for a lot of people there as well. So we'll be here to support our members, our players, our coaches. A lot of them have already been affected. Our community of Yeronga and the Rockley area in particular have been extremely hard hit. We sympathise with those people there. We've been out there active as much as Mark has, almost as much as Mark has, trying to help everyone where we can and give a little bit, whether it be with meals, coffees, donuts, or we're down here today on a working bee with our junior club there as well, working together as a community organisation to give a little bit back, because we understand in due course that these community organisations are very much the fabric of our society, and we want to make sure that they're up and running as safely and as efficiently as possible as an outlet for our young boys and girls, and as much for our senior men and women there as well, to have a piece of normality in these uncertain times. So very much thank you again to Minister Bailey for the time, and the other local councillors. We look forward to continuing to roll the sleeves up, get the job done and be back on the field before we know it. So thank you very much to everyone. Appreciate it.
I'll just ask a couple of questions and I'll come back to you in a second.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Jess?
Brendan, I guess, can you just run us through what, at first glance, the damage is to senior and junior kind of complex as a whole at this point?
Yeah, it's a very large precinct here down at Lation Park in Yeronga. Our field 2 out the back's been completely inundated, and we've had about half a metre of water through our senior clubhouse here, and also half a metre through our junior clubhouse and canteen area there as well. So we've had our first working group. We're out here on Tuesday to do the first initial clean-up. As you can see, the result of some of that here behind us, and then we start with that deep cleanse here on a Sunday afternoon.
You talk about a fair chunk of the Yeronga Fairfield kind of wider community here has been impacted from people's personal homes and businesses. How important, like, you guys are dealing with the cleanup, but you probably have in the back of your mind, we need to get this cleaned up, because if they can come out and kind of be distracted by playing footy or things like that, it's a bit of a safe haven from them away from what's going on back home.
Yeah, absolutely. For young and old boys and girls, you know, the social sport environment is so critical for people's mental health side of things, and we're fully aware and understanding that we need to do this as much as them, as much for ourselves there as well. So, you know, it's very early in the recovery piece here at the moment. I'm sure one of the things we're looking for, a lot of our families have been hard hit, who are trying to work out ways that they can find an extra $1 or $2 or $5 to pay their membership fees. We'll be looking at whatever things we can do, and I'm sure the governments will be looking at that there as well, as to how we can encourage and ensure those kids can really get back to play winter sport.
I guess just on the club, like, you've been through 2011, you guys just keep bouncing back. Does it kind of ingrain into the fabric of the way you even play on the field in that way?
Oh, look, I think we're very consistent in the way that we play things. We're a very diverse organisation. We're a very inclusive organisation there as well. So I think what we do more than others here at the moment is we support one another through the good times and the bad, and sometimes these unfortunate circumstances bring out the best in people there as well. So I'm sure we'll be back bigger than ever.
Can you just broadly run me through, like, in terms of what you've lost? We can see, like, canteen food. Is there equipment, things like that looks like will be gone? Yeah,
oh look, there's lots of things that we've lost, Jess, but these things can be replaced. That's the thing about it there at the moment. We haven't had, as far as we're, any loss of life with our club, or any. We've obviously had loss of possessions and households there as well, but as a community we can rebuild those things in time. So as I said, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We've started well, but we've got a long way to go, and we'll be here to support one another. I think that's the thing there as well, realising that this won't end this afternoon, and it won't end at the end of next week there as well. This is a 12-month, 18-month process for many people, and we'll be here to make sure we can support our members in the community as much as possible.
And just lastly, you're a junior club, senior club, home of AFL Queensland, but you're also home of the Brisbane Lions during this time of year. They were displaced last week, which they totally understand, went down to Melbourne earlier, but like the effects have kind of been right up to that, even at elite level as well.
Yeah, it does. It affects grassroots sport as much as it does as elite level, that we're fortunate enough to be home to AFL Queensland and the Brisbane Lions. We've got some fantastic community partners who get on board with us as well, and they've reached out to see how they can assist there as well. The one as recently as yesterday was one of our sponsors was Slipstream Brewing Company around the corner on Station Road there. They created something called the Karma Keg. So all the proceeds from the sale of their couple of kegs of beer there yesterday went to the Yeronga Football Club, which is an amazing thing for them to consider. And we know they've already been in consultation with a lot of the other local hit community organisations such as South Cricket and otherwise, that they can sort of be the beneficiaries of those sort of support there. And I think the local businesses have been fantastic. They want to help out. They just need to take some time to work out what the best way to help is, and realise it doesn't necessarily need to be right here today.
Anything else?
No, look, as I said, we're here for the long haul, so we look forward to a 2022 season. So thank you again, Minister.
I should just ask, how long do we expect to, like you said, you don't know yet, but hopefully kids can be back training the next couple of weeks? What's all, like, broadly? Yeah,
understanding there's obviously an order we need to do things. Power, obviously we train of an evening, so return of power and electricity to the site is obviously the key thing for us at the moment. And obviously being able to get safe playing fields for the kids and adults to run around and play on there as well. So I'd hope to say within a week we'll have a better understanding of where that one is. But it's about due process and making sure we don't rush. All right, thank you very much. Ms. Bailey.
Thank you. Minister Bailey, just on the transport, I guess, we've seen mass disruption last week, which is totally understandable, but people kind of waking up and wanting to go back into the office and work tomorrow, they should have a relatively smooth day tomorrow, depending on where they're from?
Look, it really depends on where you are and what services you rely upon. The City Cats are still out. I think people appreciate the City Cat terminals have been hammered by debris and all sorts of things, so it's going to take a little bit of time there, and some of the City Cats themselves were damaged. So if you're relying on a City Cat, we can't provide, and the council can't provide that for you just yet, but they're working on it. And in terms of your own service, just check in, be forewarned. Give yourself maybe a little bit more time, so getting back to normal. But we are getting there, and I just thank all of our crews, and from the state government, Queensland Rail point of view, as well as all the council people across South East Queensland, they're working incredibly hard to get the whole system back 100%.
We saw traffic was pretty bad last week. As roads were reopening, we should have hopefully had a lot more reopened throughout the last few days as well.
Yeah.
Are we expecting potentially another really bad day or week of traffic, or are you hoping people can potentially try and utilise the public transport?
Yeah, look, the worst day last week was Wednesday, when we still couldn't get any train services up and people were moving about in large numbers. So it was very bad that day. It was considerably better the next day once we had the trains up and running, and things have been improving a bit since then. I think we'll start to see it improve further. It's not going to be normal, let's be really clear. Don't expect your traffic to be like it was a month ago tomorrow morning. It's not going to be. So put that into your consideration and maybe give yourself a little bit more time. We're getting there. I think people understand that the impacts are massive from this unprecedented record level of rainfall that we had.
Is there any indication with the City Cats, like places like Milton Terminal completely destroyed, Hawthorn Terminal, and then obviously, as you mentioned, a lot of City Cats went down, but is there any indication, are we looking at 6 months before those?
Oh, look, the Lord Mayor and the City Council will be able to answer those more specific questions. I'm sure he's well briefed on that, but what we know is they can't be provided right now. We know one of them sunk, and a couple of them had damage from running into things, and the debris has been extensive. So Council will be able to answer that. But we do know the Southern Moreton Bay Island ferries are still running normally, Gold Coast trams operating normally, but a bit more work to do on the ferries, and I'm sure the council people will keep people updated there.
And just one question on sporting clubs and grants. Obviously the government's doing what they can to support them, but I interviewed a club this morning, Centenary Rowing Club, and they're saying they could never get insurance because they're down by the floodplain, but they have to be at the floodplain because they're rowers, so they need to be in the river. So is there they've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of, they've got so much damage down there, lost their pontoon, everything, but how much is the government looking at doing? And I know there's a meeting tomorrow, but these clubs essentially, they're all volunteer based, etc. How are you going to help those ones that really couldn't access insurance at all, no fault of their own?
Look, we've got that initial $20,000 per club. We're looking at still, of course, assessing impacts of different organisations progressively. I'm sure there'll be other announcements as we progress, because the impacts have been from all kinds of directions. So, it's been very much an operational response in the week so far. We're now getting to look at some of those cases, so all I can say at this point is we would certainly take on board and consider those sort of circumstances to see what's possible. Of course, we're working with other levels of government about the levels of assistance. It makes sense to me that the rowing clubs might be in a slightly different category. That's something we would look at.
Cool. No one else?
Thank you.